Obviously, you might miss certain things. The cost of living is about 50 or 80% cheaper than the West. The groceries are way too expensive. I think just many parts living in the West doesn't really make sense like it used to. Long-term nomad-based visas. The client pays you and you can work anywhere in the world. If you were someone my age, maybe between the ages of 20 and 30, and are currently living in the West but are currently struggling to get ahead, maybe you're struggling to buy a house, maybe you're struggling to pay groceries, just like I was, this message is for you. Now, back in 2021, I left the West completely and I moved to Bali, Indonesia. Not only did I enjoy living there more, but I also met my wife there. I also was able to get ahead financially, and I also was able to just enjoy life more, because not only is the quality of life better in many aspects, but also the cost of living is about 50 or 80% cheaper than the West, depending on where exactly you go and live. Now, currently I am actually visiting the West because I do still like coming back here. Obviously, I love the nature, I love the summer here, but living and visiting are two very different things. While I do like to visit here, I do like to come here and enjoy the beautiful nature here, go on hikes and go on walks and just enjoy some of the memories I had as a kid growing up here. I do think that living here and visiting here are two very different things. Because living here, we've already been here for about a month, and I realized that I think about a month or 2 months are about the maximum time that I actually want to stay in the West. And that is because the cost of living here doesn't make sense. I think that the groceries are way too expensive. I think just many parts living in the West doesn't really make sense like it used to. Back, I think in the early 2000s or in the 1990s, I think it was still doable. I think our generation could still get ahead. But I think right now, our generation, unless you make over 10K a month, I think you're probably really struggling to live in many parts of the West because just of how expensive it is. Not because of the nature, not because even of the people, maybe because of the politics, but maybe because the cost of living is just too high. So this is what I recommend you to do. Figure out how to get a remote-based role where the client pays you and you can work anywhere in the world. There are many things you can do. There are many roles you can do this, such as video editing, graphic design, or even coding, or even being an assistant. Second, figure out what countries you want to go to and try a few out. If you don't like the first one you go to, obviously you can try another one out. There are many countries in Southeast Asia that I think are great. And also check to see, does the country have a long-term nomad visa? Because there are many countries that don't offer this. But again, there are still many countries that do offer long-term nomad-based visas. For example, Thailand does have the DTV visa, which I think is a great option. I think another one is actually, there's many other countries in Latin America. There's Bali that are great to be a nomad there too. Because I think just many people who are living in the West are really struggling to achieve their goals. They're trying to save up. The cost of living is too much, and I think there's many other solutions to trying to find an alternative solution to something that is a problem in their life. So those are some practical tips on how you can get started with this. Obviously, there are still some other ideas that you can do, but I think these are 3 practical tips that you can do to actually start to move, leave the West, and actually live a better life abroad. Countries like Indonesia also have nomad-based visas or long-term visas to live there, as long as you meet the requirements. And there are many other countries in Southeast Asia and Europe who also have pretty good visas for long-term stays, as long as you meet the requirements. So check on a map, see where do you think you want to live, then actually travel there to visit first before you make that final decision. Once you make that final decision, then you can realize, okay, do I want to live the rest of my life here? Do I see myself raising a family here? Do I see myself enjoying living here long term? And then you can decide, do you want to actually get that long-term visa? Because many of these countries, you don't need really a visa to visit if you visit for 30 or 60 days or even a few months. So you can go there, you can try it out, you can see, do you like it? And then from there, you can decide, do you actually want to live there full time? And that's exactly what I was doing. And I've lived in all kinds of different countries around the world. Obviously, Bali, Indonesia is one of my favorites just because I met my wife there, and I do love Indonesia as a country. I do love Bali as an island. However, Thailand also might be a certain fit for certain people. I think Thailand has a lot of good options. It's still very affordable. You have the Philippines, you have Vietnam, and you have many other who are really still good for cost of living and just a better quality of life in general than living in the West. Obviously, you might miss certain things. You might miss maybe nature and certain places that look like the place that you are. For example, right now I'm just out here and I'm in just filming by this lake. Now, this is not something that you can always find in every country like Southeast Asia, but you can find alternative places. You can find beautiful beaches, you can find beautiful mountains to go to, and you just have to kind of adapt to that. Don't expect everything will be the same, because it won't be, but you can still find another solution, another alternative to that from what you're seeking. So if you're someone in my age and you're struggling to get ahead, you're struggling to actually live in the West, then I think this is a solution that works for many people. It worked for me and still does work for me. And it's just something that you have to try and to get together. So first, you need a remote-based online role or some kind of income to come in when you're not physically in your country where you're from. Second, you need to set up a company that you can do easily through a US LLC, and then you can put all of your company information and earnings through that company. And all then you need is just basically the long-term visa of whatever country you're looking to live in full time. And once you have those three things sorted out, you are free from the West.